Welcome to another edition of the Metaphysical Diet. Here we analyze ways to reprogram the subconscious, utilizing astrological cycles in an attempt to steer life towards a more happy and healthier future. The basic principle of this diet is to harmonize the body and mind with nature's rhythms and cycles. We are, after all, biological expressions of consciousness, living within the constraints of time and space, in an earthly materium of abundant natural beauty. As such, the more in tune we are with these timeless natural rhythms and planetary cycles, the greater our chance of avoiding disharmony and dis-ease. Nature often expresses itself through the number 12. It is the universal number of harmony, balance, and completion. It was a numerical benchmark for most of our ancestors and those who lived in ancient civilizations. Many of our ancestors generally lived proactively within the limits of daylight hours. They would wake up when the sun appeared on the horizon at dawn to perform most of their daily tasks between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., retiring to their homes once the sun went down. Only the wealthy could afford artificial lighting, subjecting the vast majority to an early night of unproductive rest and sleep. Preparing or cooking food during evening hours came with a variety of problems. Consequently, the majority of people throughout the ancient world would eat one meal per day, which was consumed in the middle of the daylight hours between 12 noon and 2 p.m. The Romans typically ate one meal a day and did so around noontime. This was not only to hold them over to complete their daily tasks, but it was truly the only food they had available for the course of the day as well. The Roman culture actually believed it to be far healthier to eat only one meal a day. omaddiet.com. As astrology is the oldest living language known to man, a language which expresses our human conscious connection to nature, the macrocosm and planetary cycles, it was used by many ancient cultures as a benchmark for most of their activities. If we look at the first 6 houses of the zodiac, during the daylight hours, we find the house ruled by the moon, representing our internal needs, or hungry Pac-Man, is in Cancer between the hours of 12 noon and 2 p.m. By restricting yourself to only eating during this allotted time period, essentially having one meal a day, you can eat, within reason, most of the things you enjoy, satisfying your basic feelings of hunger. People who have lost control of their eating habits need to take back the reins and steer themselves towards sensible eating patterns. It is important not to overeat, as overeating unnecessarily expands the stomach, regressing them back towards old unhealthy habits. We are the only ones who can change our future course by reprogramming the subconscious elephant into accepting new, healthier behavioral patterns. The overall objective is to become the greatest version of oneself, optimistically setting new habitual sails in the right direction towards a brighter and healthier future. The zodiac's poetical synchronicity is profound in many ways, and those who use it as a guide to support their lives can appreciate its esoteric wisdom and worth. By eliminating the consumption of food in the morning, you essentially extend the fasting process, which began a few hours after you ate the previous day's meal. The time the fast is broken is crucial to the success of the metaphysical diet. It must be in tune with nature, allowing enough time for the body to use up its store of calories consumed by the previous meal. By only eating during the 2-hour window between noon and 2 p.m., a process of fasting follows in which the body changes its hormone levels in order to utilize and burn stored energy, which is deposited as fat in cells around the body. This fasting process continues for 22 hours until it is broken the following noon. Once this is accepted as a new daily routine, many benefits will start to take place concerning your body and your health. Your stomach will shrink to a point where a modest meal will satisfy, and you will gradually lose weight without too much discomfort. Those old habits which are slowly killing you have to be neutralized and removed. The first week of any challenge to old habits is always the most difficult. Just like the female menstrual cycle, it begins with shedding off unwanted matter from a previous cycle. You must do the same and persevere with willpower alone until this new habit is accepted within the corridors of the subconscious. Many things happen when we fast. Insulin levels drop to facilitate the fat burn process. Human growth hormone increases by up to 5 times, stimulating fat burn. The body's natural cellular repair process increases, together with the removal of waste material from the cells. Testosterone levels increase and estrogen levels decrease, which promotes fat burn. Intermittent fasting can increase metabolic rate by up to 14%. Studies have shown that periodic and intermittent fasting can reduce the aging process and increase your lifespan by a considerable amount. A recent Harvard University study found that fasting can increase lifespan and slow down the aging process by stimulating mitochondrial networks inside the cells. Although previous work has shown how intermittent fasting can slow aging, we are only beginning to understand the underlying biology. Our findings open up new avenues in the search for therapeutic strategies that will reduce our likelihood of developing age-related diseases as we get older. William Mayer. Scientists at the National Institute on Aging at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and the Pennington Biometric Research Center, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, conducted a study on mice where they found increased fasting times lead to improved health and longevity. This study showed that mice who ate 1 meal per day and thus had the longest fasting period seemed to have a longer lifespan and better outcomes for common age-related liver disease and metabolic disorders. Another study undertaken by evolutionary biologist Dr. Margot Adler at the University of New South Wales in Australia concerning the effects of dietary restrictions on human health concluded that eating less can benefit the aging process by protecting the body's cells from natural deterioration, with the potential of reducing the risk of cancer. She went on to say, "This is the most intriguing aspect from a human health standpoint. Although extended lifespan may simply be a side effect of dietary restriction, a better understanding of these cellular recycling mechanisms that drive the effect may hold the promise of longer, healthier lives for humans." In order to make the diet agreeable and practical, the intake of fluids is not restricted throughout the whole day. You can basically drink as much as you want, as long as the drinks throughout the morning period do not contain sugar or milk. This is because your blood sugar level and insulin must be kept low for fat burn to continue. As a basic guideline, stick to water or black tea and coffee, with water being 70% of the body's composition and synonymous with the moon and the subconscious. It is important to consume ample quantities in order to keep the body and mind hydrated. The common consensus among many health authorities is an intake of 2 liters of water per day, the benefits of which include: water maintains the correct balance of body fluids. By drinking water, you are not increasing your calorie intake. Muscle cells work well when the body is completely hydrated. Helps to keep the skin in good condition. Keeps the kidneys flushed, working well to remove toxins. Balanced the hydration on the colon, preventing constipation. Religious fasting. Most religions practice some form of fasting, a tradition which goes back a very long way. Many believe the eating process, especially meats, would toxify the body during digestion, disrupting the body's natural balance between body, soul, and spirit. In times of high spiritual significance, it was considered necessary to keep the body's chemical equilibrium clean for greatest metaphysical impact. Although modern Christianity has splintered off into a multitude of denominations, deviating from the source of its heritage, some serious Christians still practice the art of fasting, especially during the 40 days of Lent. Many religious festivals are based around the important zodiacal transitions, although they do not like to admit it. The 40 days of Lent takes place during the spring equinox, signaling the start of a new zodiac cycle. Today, only a small minority of Christians fast during this period, usually restricting their eating to the night time. Many refrain from eating meats. Those who do fast generally do it on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday as a gesture of respect for their God. Buddhism is an ancient religion philosophy. It goes back 2,500 years to the time of Gautama Buddha, a sage who from the age of 29 left his rich and privileged home to find wisdom and enlightenment. Buddha with one D is Sanskrit for the planet Mercury, the planet of communication. Its energetic characteristics are necessary for good communication between all levels of consciousness. The monks which follow Buddhism are essentially moon watchers. Buddha understood the importance of fasting and said to his followers, "I, monks, do not eat a meal in the evening. Not eating a meal in the evening, I, monks, am aware of good health and of being without illness, and of buoyancy and strength, and living in comfort. Come, do you too, monks, not eat a meal in the evening. Not eating a meal in the evening, you too, monks, will be aware of good health and living in comfort." Buddhist monks follow the Vinaya, discipline and education. They are allowed to eat from dawn till midday. However, Buddha did recommend his followers to only eat one meal per day to promote good health and stimulate the meditation process. Buddha encouraged monks to have one meal per day, as that is good for health and helps in the meditation practice. It is also part of the 13 ascetic practices, which is voluntarily taken up as part of the practice. Fasting is part of a lay Buddhist's life during times of intensive meditation, especially during the 4 main phases of the moon. The monks avoid eating animal products. Furthermore, they also avoid eating processed foods along with the 5 pungent foods: garlic, Welsh onion, chives, asana, and leeks. Fasting in Islam. The main period for fasting for Muslims is during the month of Ramadan. It is the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar. This year, 2018, Ramadan took place from the 17th of May to the 14th of June. Muslims believe that fasting helps develop good behavior, self-control, and purifies the connection between body and soul. Together with their fasting, they incorporate abstinence from any falsehoods, either in speech or action. They refrain from cursing, arguing, fighting, ignorant speech, together with disassociating themselves from lustful thoughts. This purification of body and soul harmonizes the inner and outer spheres of an individual. Muslims aim to improve their body by reducing food intake and maintaining a healthier lifestyle. All Muslims are expected to participate in Ramadan, fasting for 1 whole month, beginning at sunrise and ending at sunset. Fasting in Judaism. As Judaism is a religion which promotes the planet Saturn above all others, a planet synonymous with the black cube and the number 6, it is therefore understandable to find that Jews traditionally fast for only 6 days of the year. On a fasting day, they abstain from both food and drink. However, fasting is not permitted on the Sabbath, Saturday, Saturn's day, unless it happens to coincide with Yom Kippur, the most important holy day in the Jewish calendar, being the only fast day mentioned in the Torah. All Jews above the age of Bat Mitzvah, 12 to 13, are expected to fast on Yom Kippur. Another fasting day for Jews is Tisha B'Av. This is a significant day in Jewish history where a number of disasters occurred For instance, the destruction of Solomon's temple. Jewish fasting takes place between sunset of one day to dusk of the next. Dusk normally takes place around half an hour after sunset. Fasting in Hinduism. Due to the enormous number of different gods worshipped by Hindus, along with many variations in local customs, fasting is more of an individual choice, integral within their worshipping process. No food or water is to be consumed from sunset of one day to 48 minutes after sunrise the next. It is also common for Hindus to limit themselves to one meal during the day, restricting the variety of foods on offer, especially meat products. Putting all this information together concerning the fasting process, the subconscious, meditation, and the moon, it appears logical to combine all of these important concepts in order to promote healthier eating habits over those which have underpinned many people's weight problems. It is vital that one takes control over their habitual nature by redirecting their subconscious elephant in a new, healthy and sustainable direction. Because fasting is a great aid in reducing unnecessary toxification from food consumption, giving the body time to rebalance chemically and hormonally. It seems sensible to promote fasting during the most sensitive moon phases in order for the internal subconscious mind to germinate new seeds of positive intent at a time when better communication between body, soul, and spirit can be utilized. Because moon phases are reflected in the female menstrual cycle, the metaphysical diet has been carefully designed to make the most of the new moon, a time when nature offers us the opportunity to sow new seeds of intent within the subconscious. Together with fasting, meditation is recommended as a mechanism of communicating with the internal mind. Consequently, the whole day of the new moon should be a day of fasting and meditation, eliminating all food products, allowing only water and natural teas into the body. This prepares the body and generates the necessary platform for successful meditation. Moreover, for the new moon fasting day to be successful, it is better to place oneself in a quiet location with few distractions, making it easier to internalize the mind. As this is a day dedicated to the subconscious with a new moon, it makes perfect sense to go somewhere quiet like a temple, a church, or a quiet location by water. The fasting process will naturally help to internalize the mind due to the body's limited energy. If no suitable location is available, home is the next best thing, as home is represented by the fourth zodiac house ruled by the moon. In addition to the new moon, its placement in relation to an individual's birth chart is also significant. Each month, the new moon manifests in a new zodiac house, and each house corresponds to a particular aspect of an individual's personality and life's categories. For example, if the new moon falls in a person's first house, it will stimulate, during this moon cycle, the projected self within the subconscious. Consequently, to maximize the impact of the opportunity, One's meditation mantra and focus should be relevant to the characteristics of the house the new moon falls in. These relevant house positions are determined by the placing of a person's ascendant. This is calculated by knowing the precise time of birth. If this is not known, the sign in which the new moon falls in becomes the overriding backdrop for the focus during meditation. The ascendant is usually found on the far left of the chart, a point representing the eastern horizon at the moment of birth. To significantly benefit from the meditation opportunity, as an addition, it is also worth introducing some traditional techniques which will promote an all-round positive outcome to the meditation process. Along with positive affirmations concerning the house the new moon falls in, a good additional technique is to think of 3 people, one who you love, one who is neutral, and one who you have problems with, even dislike. In turn, wish them all well as you view them in your mind. If this is done on a regular basis, the garden within the subconscious will begin to change, enabling a whole new habitual nature to grow from within. Keeping in tune with nature and following on from the zodiac sign of Cancer, we enter the sign of Leo, the will and the lion, ruled by the sun between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Throughout the ancient Mediterranean world, together with many other hot countries, the tradition of taking an afternoon nap became very popular. Many countries still practice a siesta, Spanish for nap. From a combination of drowsiness after their afternoon meal and the unbearable heat during the hottest part of the day, a well-deserved break was welcomed. There is an old saying, to sleep like a lion. Lions can sleep a great deal, up to 20 hours a day if necessary. Various studies have been carried out which suggest the best time to take an afternoon nap is between 2 and 3 p.m. In 2007, the Washington Post reported on a study undertaken in Greece which showed those people who took an afternoon nap greatly reduced their risk of having a heart attack. The reason why this is profoundly interesting is because the body part associated with the sign of Leo is the heart. After Leo, we move into Virgo between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. This is also the 6th house of health and service to others. Studies have shown that this is the best time for exercise. The overall body temperature increases throughout the day, with heart rate and blood pressure falling, making late afternoon the best time for exercise. It is also good practice to get the heart pumping and kickstart the day with some form of cardio exercise between 6 and 8 a.m. This is the sign of Aries, ruled by Mars, the planet of proactive physical energy and cardinal fire. 30 minutes is ample just to get the blood circulating in preparation for the day ahead. Most people are in a rush to go to work, so whatever you can do in the morning will be of benefit, even if it is just simple exercises in the bedroom. Try to do something to increase your heart rate. When considering the latter exercise between 4 and 6 p.m., whatever type of exercise you choose, it is important to keep in tune with nature. Consequently, If you are someone who enjoys the gym, it is recommended that repetition of sets are done in 12s. The universal number of harmony, balance and completion. These sets should also be done 4 times, as 4 is another important number both in nature and metaphysically. When working out in the gym, instead of just automatically counting from 1 to 12, it is a golden opportunity to introduce positive mantra in an effort to influence the subconscious into working towards your latest dreams, wishes, and aspirations. Repetition is a simple way of conversing with the subconscious and formulating new internal beliefs. So instead of just counting, it could be better to repeat and visualize the words, I am slim, happy, and healthy. By counting in an ascending fashion, you automatically generate a comfortable internal belief in expansion and the expectation of a growing sequence. This will ultimately manifest as an expectation of growth in various other areas of life also. One method is to visualize the zodiac as you recite your mantra, assigning each word to one of the 12 houses as you go around. Substitute each word in place of a number, repeating it 4 times to produce 12 repetitions. It is also a good idea to warm up on one of many types of cardio machines for 12 minutes prior to your workout, also ending with 4 minutes as a final countdown, giving you an extra calorie burn opportunity before you leave. It is not necessary to go to the gym or exercise religiously every day. Every other day is good enough to burn off excess fat, improve stamina, and generally lift you out of the unhealthy trap which you have fallen into. By going 3 or 4 times per week, you are more likely to look forward to the workouts instead of becoming disillusioned with the monotony related to everyday training. Try and keep things fresh and interesting by incorporating new exercises and even different venues. When significant changes are implemented in a person's life, like the metaphysical diet, it is worth viewing those changes from the perspective of nature and natural cycles. The female menstrual cycle, together with the moon's phases, give us a good indicator as to what to expect. The first week of any habit breaking is always the most difficult, as it is the beginning of a whole new approach to whatever changes we are trying to achieve. Old habits must be discarded, just like the menstruation period in the woman's monthly cycle. After 2 weeks, we see the full moon, the maximum illumination from the sun, the focal consciousness bringing forth results of sown seeds into the physical realm. This is also when the egg appears in the female's reproductive system. It is the point at which those new seeds of positive intentions start to manifest as new habitual behavioral patterns in the real world. We have moved so far away from nature's cycles that modern science cannot find any connection between lunar rhythms and the female menstrual cycle, concluding that the fact both cycles last 28 days is just a mere coincidence. They fail to appreciate the impact moon cycles have on nature as a whole. For example, the Australian Great Barrier Reef's annual sex festival is a time when a huge amount of sperm and eggs are released into the ocean. This whole event is triggered by the full moon in November and takes place every year. The subconscious mind can be viewed as our inner Garden of Eden, and whatever seeds are nurtured within that garden become our habitual nature. It all depends on what we focus our attention on, ultimately watering particular seeds while letting others perish. People born under fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, may find it more difficult to change their habits than those of mutable or cardinal signs. In such cases, more effort is needed to keep up the momentum and focus on their new goals, as opposed to falling back into old habits. There is an old analogy, a fight between two wolves which live within you. One is good and the other is bad. A wise old monk was once teaching his student about this concept. He said to the boy, "A fight is going on inside me, a constant battle between two wolves. One is bad, consumed with greed, anger, bitterness, self-pity, regret, resentment, jealousy, envy, and ego. The other is good. He is full of optimism, peace, hope, humility, empathy, kindness, compassion, and love." The boy asked the monk, "Which wolf will win?" The monk replied, "The one you feed."